Ohayo gozaimasu. Here we are again. I guess story time with Sargoth. I'm sorry. So the story so far about Japan. I have never been there. I've never known a Japanese person. I have no experience to speak of from Japan, but I see there's only 10 days until I actually land in a new continent soiled by Sargoth. It's gonna be a spectacle. Anyway, I have two stories for you today about my previous encounters with Japanese adjacent things. They are both related to let's just start with the first one. Both of these were in a rather clumsy period of my life, let's say. This was around 2010, 2011 perhaps. And the first one is I was going to the Netherlands, probably for some concert, I believe. Because I know I was meeting up with Carol, the SMK Grandmaster. And I arrived in Utrecht a few hours before Carol got off work or whatever. I had like 3, 4, 5 hours to kill. So I just went, I instead of going to Terweide in Carol's place, I went to Utrecht Centraal and started walking around the streets. I was happy, and I was at the peak of my Norwegian purchasing powers, so I just, let's do something. And I ended up going to a Japanese restaurant. This was, mind you, 2 o'clock something. And I just decided to go ham. So the sake floweth, and I decided to sample some Japanese cuisine. I couldn't quite figure out which dish to go for, and this was at a point in my life when I wasn't the dreaded V word, but we'll get to that in some other episode. I went for a dish that consisted of 3 smaller dishes. It was a main course, but 3 smaller dishes, which were all bacon wrapped. It was bacon wrapped asparagus, bacon wrapped lychee or lychee, and bacon wrapped cherry tomatoes, I believe. So we're still talking around noon. The sake floweth freely, and I was just enjoying myself to the fullest. And these dishes sounded so good, and when I bit into it, it was like crispy bacon on the outside, and then like smooth, I think cherry tomato was the first one, smooth vegetable pulp on the inside. So my taste senses went, ooh, that's interesting. And my mind went, please vomit this. This meat has gone off. Because it was crispy and then juicy and liquidy, and my mind just went, this ain't right, this gotta go. And I remember I was like maybe 3 pieces deep, and I was keep holding back this unending force within me to choke. And the staff were coming by, just seeing if everything was fine, and I was like, good. And I was having the worst food-related struggle of my life, because I actually liked it, all of it, I think. But there was something about biting into the crispy bacon with the soft squishiness inside that just made my mind go full stop. I managed to get it down, but I did, slightly, classy boy stuff, puke into my own mouth and then refund it into my system as one would. Okay, next up is a similar story. I started working for Microsoft in Dublin, and there were, I think, 6 or 7 Norwegians that started working at the same time. So we all flew over, had to pass some tests, and there was the relocation thing, whatever. I shacked up in a travel lodge, which is not the classiest of places, but it's hotel-like. So I had my own room, and I paid through the nose. But yeah, anyway, after studying for the initial tests to work there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, maybe, something like that, I went up to someone also in the same class. They were from Norway, they were a couple, and they seemed like nice folk. So I invited them to, hey, I know we're all studying and trying to get into this thing, but should we just grab dinner sometime, go to a restaurant and just talk about how it feels being a Norwegian in Ireland or whatever. And then they were very positive and said, oh yeah, that sounds great, we'll do that. So we booked a seat at a Japanese restaurant in Dublin, or slightly outside of Dublin. And we were just having a, kind of standoffish, casual conversation, but we don't know each other, and we're trying to jump through the hoops, getting to know each other. Oishikoi desu. And we're just talking, and everything's lining up fine. And I was like, okay, I can get along with these people, and I assume they felt the same. And we had a great meal, and decided, well, let's top it up with a small glass of sake. And on the menu they had like cups of sake was like, I don't know, nothing at all, very cheap. But then I also saw they had a mug of sake, which was, at the time it felt like the same price. I was still at the peak of my powers when it comes to the Norwegian kroner at this point. So I just went for the mug. And it was heated sake, which is extra flowy, if you will. We started drinking. We were just going to do a little bit, and it escalated. I don't really know what happened. And this is one of the rare complete blur moments, but I wake up the next day in my hotel, and the 2 other Norwegians are also there. And I thought, ooh, must have been a good after party. I don't feel great, but here we are, it's okay. And slowly it dawns on me through conversation on the day and snippets of information leaking back into my consciousness from yesterday, that they weren't there as part of some after party shenanigans. They were there. I had invited them to come live in my hotel room for the foreseeable future. And I didn't realize, and I don't think it was the best of ideas, because we had to kind of smuggle them in and out of the hotel room. I was a whole thing, and there was the part about them being a couple and having, moments in the bathtub, whatever. It's 2 out of 2 sake-related incidents. It is the most Japanese I've done so far. So in 10 days' time, this saga continues, and hopefully in a mildly, at least, different direction. But I have high hopes. I'm actually eager for this trip to go all the way. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Really looking forward to it. I'm very rapidly becoming aware that this is happening now, and I get on the plane in 9 days actually. That's no time at all. I'll catch you on the next one, boys and girls and people of Earth, basically. Yes, Jane.